Short. Strong. Espresso English.
Fuel your day. Let's learn.
Hey James, quick question. What time do you usually get up? Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, I'm definitely a night owl. I love those late hours when everything's quiet and I can really focus. But my roommate? Totally a morning person. Up at 6 a.m., makes breakfast, cleans up, and I just lie there hearing all that movement.
That sounds tough. You're staying up until 2 a.m. every night because it's the only time you feel you can relax and be yourself. Meanwhile, your roommate is already halfway through their day when you're still asleep. It's like you're living two different rhythms under the same roof.
And it's not just about laziness versus discipline, right? It feels deeper. Like, what if we're wired differently? What if the time of day you feel best is actually part of who you are?
Exactly. This episode is perfect if you've ever felt judged for not being an early riser or struggled with your sleep schedule. We're diving into something called Chronotype Theory, that idea that your body's internal clock is unique and that being a morning person or night owl isn't just a choice.
Right. And there's one thing we found out that might change how you see your own habits. And trust me, it's not about willpower. It's about biology.
Quick question before we go on. How many hours of sleep do you usually get on weeknights? Drop a number in your head now. 3, 6, 8. Got it?
Stick around till the end, because we've got a word tour coming up. 5 key words you'll want to add to your vocabulary, like night owl and wind down.
Yep, and I'm guessing some of you are listening right now, lying in bed still half asleep, or maybe squeezing in a morning coffee before that morning meeting.
Whatever you're doing, we know one thing for sure. You aren't alone if your internal clock doesn't match the world schedule.
And later in the show, we'll share one tiny trick that could help you feel more in sync with your day without forcing you to become a morning person if that's just not you.
But first, let's unpack why some of us sparkle at sunrise and others come alive only when the stars are out.
Last night I stayed up way too late because my brain only seemed to wake up after 11 p.m. And that's when I started writing, thinking, and even smiling again.
That's such a night owl story. Meanwhile, my friend wakes up at 6:10 a.m., makes coffee, answers emails, and calls it a fresh start, which sounds heroic until you see the face they make before the coffee kicks in.
Exactly, and that face matters. You know that frozen look people get when they're forced into the wrong hour? The blank stare, the slow blinking, the tiny sigh. It's like the body's saying, nope, not my moment.
Oh, I've had that too. I've tried acting like a morning person in the first hour of the day, and I just end up moving like a confused robot with a bad sleep schedule.
That's why Chronotype Theory feels so relieving. It says your best energy isn't random laziness. It's a pattern. Some people hit their peak hours early, and others get there much later.
Right, and when people ignore that pattern, they often think they're broken. But maybe they're just measuring themselves with the wrong clock.
Let's make this real. Imagine two roommates. One starts washing dishes at 6:30 a.m., humming, opening windows, and setting out toast. The other is still half asleep, hearing every cup clink like a loud announcement. And suddenly the whole room feels too bright, too active, too early.
That second person is me. Even the sound of a spoon on a bowl can feel personal at that hour. And then, at night, when everything finally goes quiet, I can breathe again. I can wind down, read, think, or just stare at the ceiling without feeling guilty.
And that guilt is the real problem, isn't it? Not just the noise, not just the hours, but the feeling that your natural rhythm is somehow less respectable than someone else's. That's why so many night owls start calling themselves lazy even when they're productive later.
But here's the pushback. If society starts adapting too much, don't people lose structure? A sleep schedule exists for a reason. School starts early, work starts early, and deadlines don't wait for your mood.
I don't buy that structure and biology are enemies. You're missing the whole picture if you think the only options are wake at dawn or fall apart. A person can still have discipline and work with their own rhythm.
But what if that rhythm becomes an excuse? I'm a night owl can turn into I'll do everything later. And later becomes never. That's why I worry people romanticize late nights and ignore the cost.
Fair point. But the answer isn't shame, it's awareness. If someone knows their peak hours are from 9 p.m. to midnight, they can place creative work there and save routine tasks for the morning.
So instead of pretending every hour feels the same, you match the task to the time. That's not a loophole. That's strategy.
Let's test it. If you're a night owl, try this sentence. My best ideas show up after dinner. Now try the morning person version. I feel sharp before 8 a.m. Both can be true. They just point to different clocks.
And if you're listening and you're thinking, that's me, then maybe stop fighting your brain every morning. The goal isn't to become someone else. It's to stop acting like your sleep schedule is a moral report card.
Exactly. A lot of people don't need a new personality. They need permission to notice what's already true. When they feel alert, when they feel drained, and when they naturally wind down.
And once you notice that, you can start saying no to the wrong tasks at the wrong time. Not forever, just for now, until you understand your pattern better.
So if your body comes alive at midnight, that doesn't make you flawed. It makes you different. And different can be incredibly useful, especially when you learn how to work with it.
And by the way, there's a phrase for this whole idea. It's called Chronotype Theory, and later we'll break down the exact words we've been using.
So James, I get that adapting to your own biological clock sounds great, but don't you think society's early schedule exists for a reason? Offices, schools, public transport, they all run on a morning person's clock.
That's true, Aria, but not everyone fits into that mold. It's like forcing a square peg into a round hole. Night owls struggle because the system ignores their peak hours, not because they're lazy.
I see your point, but isn't there a risk people use night owl as an excuse to avoid responsibility? Sometimes I hear I can't do mornings, so I'll just procrastinate. That sounds like missing the point.
But hold on, saying I'm a night owl isn't about avoiding work. It's about understanding when you produce your best work. If you're awake at peak hours later in the day, wouldn't scheduling creative tasks then be smarter?
Okay, but what about deadlines? They don't wait for your natural rhythm. If your job requires morning meetings or early finish times, can you really afford that flexibility?
That's why it's about finding balance, not total freedom. You can schedule focused, high-energy work during your peak and plan less demanding tasks during low-energy times. It's not a license for chaos.
But isn't that just wishful thinking for many people? Some can't control their shifts or family obligations. They need to be functional exactly when they're not at their best.
True, not everyone can choose their hours, but awareness helps. Even if you're not a morning person, knowing when you can't focus can prevent burnout and improve efficiency by adjusting expectations.
But what about the cultural bias? Society praises the early bird as disciplined and the night owl as irresponsible. Doesn't that pressure make night owls feel judged and less motivated?
Absolutely, the stigma is real. People often internalize that judgment, which damages confidence. That's why changing the story around sleep schedules is important. It's about biology, not morality.
Still, couldn't too much focus on biological clocks encourage complacency? Like telling yourself, I'm a night owl, so I'll never try to adapt, which might limit personal growth.
That's a stretch. Recognizing your natural rhythm doesn't have to mean never trying anything new. It means working smarter, not forcing yourself to be someone else who you're not.
But how do you respond to people who say this approach ignores societal needs? If everyone followed their own clock, would anything get done on time?
It's a valid concern, yet innovative workplaces already use flexible schedules recognizing different chronotypes. Productivity often improves when people work when they're naturally alert.
I guess that's ideal, but it requires big changes. Most jobs don't offer that. Isn't it easier to just suck it up and align with the majority?
Easier, maybe, but not healthier. Long term, ignoring your biological clock can cause sleep issues, stress, and decreased productivity.
So you're saying it's less about changing society immediately and more about individuals advocating for themselves?
Spot on. It starts with self awareness. If you identify as a night owl or morning person, you can communicate your needs better and find creative solutions within constraints.
Still, I worry some will misuse this as an excuse for poor punctuality or work habits. How do you guard against that?
That's why discipline matters regardless of your chronotype. Knowing your peak hours is a tool, not a crutch. You still have to meet expectations. It's about how you plan to do it.
Fair. I suppose a night owl can still show up on time if they plan ahead and wind down properly.
Exactly. This isn't about avoiding responsibility. It's about respecting your body's natural signals and working with them.
Okay, last question. What about the role play? Let's imagine you're explaining your night owl schedule to a boss who demands early mornings.
All right, I'd say I'm most productive after peak hours, so I reserve late evenings for focused projects, but I ensure all morning tasks are completed on time.
Pause right there. That sounds formal and a bit stiff. Let me show you 2 more natural ways to say this. 1. I'm a night owl, so I do my best thinking late at night, but I always get the morning stuff done first. 2. Mornings are tough for me, but I make sure nothing falls behind.
I'm a night owl, so I do my best thinking late at night, but I always get the morning stuff done first.
Perfect. See? Being honest but casual goes a long way.
I might actually try that next time.
So in the end, respecting your sleep schedule means balancing honesty with responsibility, and having the right words helps.
That sums it up well. Understand it. Chronotypes isn't about avoiding work. It's about working smarter and communicating better.
We've covered a lot how morning people and night owls live by different rhythms, how to balance your natural sleep schedule with daily demands, and even how to explain your habits in a way others understand.
Now it's time for our word tour. We'll take a closer look at 5 key expressions we've been using, like night owl, wind down, and peak hours. They're great to add to your vocabulary.
These words help you talk about your daily rhythm clearly and naturally. Ready to dive in?
Let's go.
So, James, we've been throwing around some key words today. Let's unpack those naturally, starting with something simple. Night owl. What comes to your mind when you hear that?
Well, a night owl is someone who feels more awake and energetic during the late hours, usually after most people have gone to bed. Like me, right? I tend to stay up late and get a lot done when the world is quiet.
Exactly, and it's more than just staying up late, it's about when your brain is sharpest. Night owls often find their creative peak during those hours. Like imagine writing or brainstorming at midnight and feeling on fire.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the only quiet time for us. No distractions, no calls, just pure focus.
On the flip side, we have morning person. That's someone who naturally wakes up early and feels energetic right away. They're the people buzzing around at sunrise, ready to take on the day.
Morning people seem to have this magical ability to snap into action with the sunrise. Like they drink coffee and instantly switch to full power mode.
It's not magic, it's biology. Their internal clock tells them their peak hours are, well, in the morning.
That brings us to peak hours, the times of the day when you're at your absolute best, mentally or physically.
Yes, these are your power hours. For a morning person, it might be 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. For a night owl, it might be 9 p.m. to midnight. Knowing your peak hours means you can plan important tasks during those times.
That makes sense. I could save emails or boring work for when my energy is low and focus on big projects when I'm sharp.
Now, let's talk about wind down. This is the process of calming your mind and body before sleep. Everyone needs time to wind down to get quality rest.
right? It could be reading a book, gentle stretching, or even dimming the lights. For night owls, winding down might happen later in the evening, while morning people might wind down soon after sunset.
And skipping your wind down time is like trying to park a car without brakes. It just doesn't end well.
Definitely. Also, it's important to mention sleep schedule. That's your regular pattern of sleep and wake times.
Having a consistent sleep schedule helps regulate your body clock. Even if you're a night owl or a morning person, sticking to a schedule can improve how rested you feel.
So, if you're a night owl, it doesn't mean staying up till dawn and waking whenever. It means finding a routine that fits your natural rhythm, even if it's shifted later.
Absolutely. And for morning people, a sleep schedule might start earlier and end earlier, helping maintain that morning energy.
Putting it all together, these words show how diverse human sleep and energy patterns are. Night owl and morning person describe who you are. Peak hours and sleep schedule tell you when to act. Wind down tells you how to prepare for rest.
And learning these can change how you think about your day, turning frustration into strategy.
Right, like instead of forcing yourself through rough mornings, you lean into your strengths. Knowing your own pattern means working smarter.
It reminds me of those nights when I'd fight going to bed just because I thought early sleep meant discipline. Now I know it's okay to wind down when my body says so.
Me too. And it's freeing to realize that a night owl like me can still be productive, just on my own clock.
So if you've ever called yourself a night owl or wished you were more of a morning person, maybe it's time to rethink those labels. Not as good or bad, just different.
Yeah, let's celebrate both our night owl moments and morning person triumphs. Life's too short to fight your own rhythm.
And that's the beauty of understanding these words. They help us speak clearly about something deeply personal, our unique daily rhythms.
Exactly. Use these expressions to explain yourself better and maybe find harmony in your own schedule.
That's it for our word tour today. Next time your friend says, "I'm such a night owl," you'll know exactly what that means. And maybe share a little empathy too. So after all that debate, here's the real takeaway. Being a morning person or a night owl isn't a personality test. It's a rhythm question. When you understand your sleep schedule, you stop treating your energy like a moral issue.
Exactly. And the practical part matters. If your brain is clear late at night, save deep work for your peak hours. If mornings are your strong time, protect them from distractions. No endless scrolling, no unnecessary noise, just the important stuff.
A simple first step is to notice your best hour for 3 days. Write down when you feel focused, when you feel foggy, and when you naturally wind down. Patterns show up fast when you actually pay attention.
And another useful move is to match the task to the time. Send quick messages when your energy is low. Do creative work when your brain feels alive. That one change can make your day feel less like a battle.
I used to think I had to become a morning person to be better. Honestly, that just made me feel tired and guilty. Once I stopped fighting my own rhythm, I felt calmer and way less dramatic before coffee.
That's very on brand. I've had the opposite problem. I'd stay up too late, then act surprised when 7 a.m. felt like a personal attack. Now I try to protect my sleep schedule, and my whole day feels steadier.
So maybe the goal isn't perfect mornings or perfect nights. It's honesty. Be honest about when you work best, when you need rest, and when your body is asking for a break.
And try one small experiment this week. Shift one important task into your peak hours. Or give yourself a calmer wind down before bed. Small changes can reveal a lot.
Before you go, we want to hear from you. Are you more of a morning person or a night owl? And what's one thing that makes your day easier?
We read every single comment. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time with another real-life English topic.